Imagine falling into darkness, not for seconds, not for minutes, but for over an hour. No light, no sound, just pressure, crushing everything around you. If Mount Everest were dropped into this place, its peak would still be underwater. This is not another planet. This is Earth. And at the bottom of our ocean lies a trench so deep, humans were never meant to see it. The Mariana Trench. In the western Pacific Ocean, the Earth's crust gives way to an abyss. The Mariana Trench, a crescent-shaped scar more than 2,500 kilometers long. Its existence is a testament to the colossal power of plate tectonics. Here, the ancient Pacific Plate meets the smaller Mariana Plate. In a process known as subduction, the dense Pacific Plate plunges downward, sliding beneath its neighbor into the Earth's mantle. This slow-motion collision has carved the deepest canyon on the planet's surface, a gateway to a realm known as the Hadal Zone, the region of the ocean below 6,000 meters, named after Hades, the underworld of Greek mythology. It is the last and most mysterious frontier on our own world. Within this colossal trench lies a smaller, even deeper valley, a slot-shaped basin at its southern end known as the Challenger Deep. Its name is a tribute to the HMS Challenger, whose expedition first sounded its staggering depths in the 1870s. Modern measurements place the seafloor here at nearly 11,000 meters, almost 7 miles straight down, a depth of nearly 36,000 feet. To contextualize this, consider that commercial airliners cruise at an altitude of about 30,000 feet. The bottom of the Challenger Deep is deeper than those planes fly high. If you could place Mount Everest into the trench, its summit would still be submerged, with more than 2 kilometers of water pressing down above it. This is a fundamentally different dimension of our planet, governed by physical laws that push existence to its absolute limit. To reach it is an undertaking of immense technological and psychological fortitude. It is a journey not of distance, but of pressure. You must descend for hours, encased in a sphere of titanium, a tiny bubble of life-sustaining atmosphere lowered into a realm that is actively hostile to it. The descent begins in the familiar sunlit zone, but this world of light is left behind within minutes. You pass through the twilight zone, where the last vestiges of sunlight fade into an endless night. Then you enter the true abyss, where the only light is that which life creates for itself. This is a world that does not forgive mistakes. Every meter of the descent increases the danger, ratcheting up the forces trying to reclaim this small pocket of air and metal. The deeper you go, the more the environment asserts its dominance. The water temperature plummets, approaching freezing. The darkness becomes absolute, a physical presence that swallows the beams of even the most powerful lights. And the weight of the water column above becomes a palpable force. The very structure of your vessel groans under the strain, a constant reminder of the load it bears. At the bottom, in the silent, frigid dark of the Challenger Deep, the pressure is almost beyond imagination. It is over 1,100 times greater than at sea level. Here, the force is more than 16,000 pounds per square inch. This isn't a gentle squeeze. It is a relentless, violent force. To comprehend this, imagine the weight of 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of you. Or picture an African elephant balancing its entire weight on your thumb. Now, apply that same impossible force to every single square inch of a surface, simultaneously. That is the force pressing in from every direction. It is a force that doesn't just crush, it seeks to obliterate, to find any microscopic flaw in a structure and exploit it with catastrophic results. A standard military submarine would be destroyed before it reached even a third of the way down. It would implode instantly. The hull would fail catastrophically, collapsing inward in a fraction of a second, the air inside superheating to the temperature of the sun's surface for a brief moment as the ocean reclaims the space. It would be crushed like a soda can. Only a vehicle designed with exotic materials and pioneering engineering, a sphere built to be geometrically perfect, can survive the journey. It is a testament to human ingenuity that we can visit this place at all, a place where the fundamental laws of physics conspire to keep us out. The year is 1960. While the world superpowers looked to the stars, locked in a race to conquer outer space, another frontier remained almost entirely unknown. A frontier not of empty vacuum, but of crushing pressure and absolute darkness. This was the race for inner space. At the heart of this endeavor was a strange and revolutionary vessel, the bathyscaphe. It was less a submarine and more an underwater balloon, the brainchild of Swiss physicist Auguste Piccard. His design was audacious, a heavy steel sphere for the crew, suspended beneath a massive float filled with gasoline, lighter than water, to provide buoyancy. The principle was simple, but the execution was a monumental feat of engineering. On January 23rd, 2 men prepared to pilot this vessel into the deepest known part of the ocean. One was Auguste's own son, Jacques Piccard, and the other, a young US Navy Lieutenant, Don Walsh. Together, they would attempt the impossible, a journey to the bottom of the Challenger Deep. Their world for the next 9 hours would be a tiny metal sphere, just 7 feet in diameter. The walls were 5 inches of solid forged steel, the only thing separating them from a force equivalent to the weight of a skyscraper pressing down on a postage stamp. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of oil and machinery, the space so cramped they could barely move. Their only window to the outside was a single cone-shaped porthole made of thick plexiglass. As the support ship released them, they descended into the trench. For the first few thousand feet, sunlight still filtered through the water, a fading blue reminder of the world they had left behind. But soon, that light vanished completely, plunging them into an alien blackness no human had ever witnessed firsthand. They were utterly alone, falling through 7 miles of water, not knowing if they would survive the journey. As they sank deeper, the temperature inside the sphere plummeted, chilling them to the bone. Condensation ran down the steel walls like sweat. And then, the sounds began. The hull, contracting under the immense ever-increasing pressure, began to crack and groan. Every pop, every creak was a terrifying reminder of their fragility. They were listening to the sound of 16,000 pounds per square inch squeezing their tiny sanctuary. Every sound could mean death. At 30,000 feet, a loud bang echoed through the cabin, shaking the entire sphere. A catastrophic failure. They scanned their instruments, their eyes searching the darkness. They discovered the source. An outer pane of the plexiglass entry tube had cracked under the strain. It wasn't a critical failure. The main pressure hull was intact, but it was a stark warning. The ocean was testing their creation, searching for any weakness. A single failure in the main hull, a single faulty weld or microscopic fracture in the steel, and the ocean would crush them in milliseconds. Implosion would be instantaneous. Their bodies turned to mist before their minds could even register the event. There was no rescue mission that could reach them. No escape pod. No second chance. They had placed their faith entirely in the mathematics of their engineers and the strength of steel. After nearly 5 hours of a tense, bone-chilling descent, the altimeter showed they were approaching the bottom. Piccard released iron ballast, slowing their fall. And then, with a gentle bump, they touched down. They had reached the bottom. For a moment, there was only the hum of their equipment and the sound of their own breathing. Silence. They had landed on the floor of the Challenger Deep, 35,814 feet below the surface. They switched on the powerful mercury vapor lamp, peering out the tiny viewport. The light cut through the darkness, revealing a landscape of fine, creamy sediment, the accumulated remains of microscopic organisms that had drifted down from the surface over millennia. And what they saw next, in that circle of light, shocked the world. Life. Not a microbe, not a worm, but a complex vertebrate. A flatfish resembling a soul, about a foot long, swimming calmly in the deepest place on Earth. In that moment, they overturned a fundamental assumption of marine biology. It was thought that no life, certainly no complex life, could withstand the colossal pressures of the Hadal Zone. Yet here was undeniable proof. The fish's calm, deliberate movements were a profound statement. It was not merely surviving, it was at home. This discovery was more than a biological curiosity. It had immediate global implications. At the time, nations were considering using deep-sea trenches as convenient dumping grounds for nuclear waste, operating under the assumption that the trenches were lifeless voids, disconnected from the rest of the ocean. The presence of this single fish proved that the deepest parts of the ocean were connected to the wider marine ecosystem. It demonstrated that life was far more resilient and adaptable than humanity had ever imagined. It was proof that even in the most extreme pressure and crushing darkness, something survives. And if the deepest part of Earth already holds life we barely understand, imagine what else is still hiding. If you love exploring the unknown, subscribe now, because the mysteries only get darker from here. The Mariana Trench is not empty. It is alive, but the creatures here look nothing like the animals we know. Transparent fish with no eyes, jellyfish that glow in total darkness, giant shrimp-like predators, feeding on whatever falls from above. Some scientists believe these organisms may hold secrets to medicine, aging, even survival in space. Because if life can exist here, it can exist anywhere. At around 1,000 meters, sunlight disappears completely. Beyond this point, Earth becomes alien. No sunrise, no sunset, no shadows, only endless night. This region is called the Midnight Zone, a place where evolution took a different path. Without light, creatures had to invent their own. Bioluminescence, living bodies that glow, like floating stars in a dead sky. Some flash blue to communicate, some glow red to hunt, others light up only when attacked, a final flare in the darkness. Down here, light is language, and darkness is law. At the bottom of the trench, water behaves differently. It doesn't feel like liquid. It feels solid. Every square inch of your body would carry over 8 tons of pressure. Your lungs would collapse instantly. Your bones would shatter. Your blood would boil, not from heat, but from pressure imbalance. Humans cannot scream here. Sound travels, but no one survives long enough to hear it. This is why exploration vehicles must be built like tanks. Titanium shells, reinforced glass, engineering pushed to its absolute limit. And even then, the trench decides who returns. In 2014, researchers recorded a sound from the depths, so loud it echoed across the Pacific Ocean. They called it the Bloop. Some believed it was a creature larger than any whale. Others feared tectonic movement, a signal from Earth itself. The truth remains debated, but what terrified scientists most was not the sound. It was the reminder that something down there is still unknown. Decades after the first descent, technology improved. Robots now travel where humans hesitate. Cameras send back images from a world untouched by civilization. Plastic bags resting on the ocean floor. Microplastics inside trench creatures. Even here, at the deepest place on Earth, humanity has arrived and the trench is watching. Imagine you are inside a submarine, 36,000 feet below the surface. Outside your window, nothing exists. No light, no direction, no escape. Then you hear it. A fracture, a hairline failure in the hull. At this depth, rescue is impossible. No diver can reach you. No rope is strong enough. No human reaction is fast enough. If the hull collapses, it happens in less than a second. Your brain wouldn't register pain, only a flash of pressure and nothing. The ocean would erase you before your heartbeat finishes its next beat. We have spent much of our journey cataloging the physical forces at play in the Mariana Trench, the crushing pressure, the absolute cold, the geological violence that birthed this chasm. These are quantifiable threats, challenges that can be met with titanium, with engineering, with mathematics. We can build a machine to survive the abyss. But the real terror of the Mariana Trench isn't just physical, it's psychological. It is the challenge for which no alloy can be forged, no circuit can be designed. It is the confrontation with the void, and what that void does to the human mind. To understand this, we must first remember what we are. Humans evolved under the sun. For millions of years, our biology has been tethered to its cycles. We are creatures of light, of horizon, of sky. Our brains are wired to interpret landscapes, to gauge distance, to find comfort in the predictable arc of the sun and the vastness of the open air. These are not just preferences. They are the foundational sensory inputs that have shaped our consciousness, our sense of place, and our sanity. The trench removes all of it. It doesn't just take away the light. It takes away the very concepts of up and down, unless told by a machine. It erases the horizon, replacing it with an oppressive, featureless uniformity in every direction. When explorers describe the descent, a journey that can take over 4 hours, they don't talk about excitement or a sense of thrilling speed. The language they use is more akin to a spiritual passage into an underworld. They talk about an overwhelming, profound isolation. It begins as the blue of the surface world fades, first to a deep indigo, and then, for hours, to a blackness so complete it feels solid. It is a feeling of being completely cut off from the world above. 7 miles of water is more than a physical barrier. It is a psychological one. Radio contact becomes difficult, distorted. Rescue is an impossibility. You are in the most remote location on the planet, a place more inaccessible than the surface of the moon. There is no sound of waves, no sense of time passing, other than the numbers on a clock. There is only the gentle hum of life support and the slow, endless downward motion. This environment creates a state known as sensory deprivation. The brain, starved of the external stimuli it is built to process, can begin to turn inward. Some explorers say the darkness feels alive, not because something is there, but because your mind, in its desperate search for pattern and meaning, begins inventing shapes in the void. This is the Ganzfeld effect, where a uniform field of stimulation causes the brain to generate its own information, leading to hallucinations. Phantoms flicker at the edge of the viewport. The monotonous hum of the machinery can morph into whispers or rhythms. The mind starts to project its own fears and wonders into the black. Every creak of the hull, a normal reaction to the immense pressure, becomes a potential catastrophe. The pilot must maintain unwavering discipline, trusting the engineering over their own primal instincts, which are screaming that this place is wrong, that they should not be here. This is why the psychological screening for aquanauts is as rigorous as it is for astronauts. It requires a specific temperament, an immense capacity for calm, a deep trust in the technology, and an ability to live comfortably inside one's own head for hours on end, surrounded by a pressure that could extinguish you in an instant. The trench doesn't attack the body first. It attacks the mind. It lays siege to the senses, probing for the weaknesses in our evolved psychology, reminding us that we are and have always been creatures of the light. Humans have mapped the surface of Mars more accurately than our own ocean floor. Over 95% of Earth's deep ocean remains unexplored. Entire mountain ranges, trenches, ecosystems, hidden beneath kilometers of water. The Mariana Trench is not just a location. It is a symbol, a reminder that our planet is still mysterious, still wild, still beyond our control. Somewhere in the darkness below, creatures continue to move, blind, silent, perfectly adapted. They do not know humans exist. They do not care. The trench has existed for millions of years without us, and it will remain long after we are gone. We stand on the surface believing we understand Earth, but beneath our feet lies a world that reminds us how small we truly are. The Mariana Trench is not just the deepest place on Earth. It is proof that mystery still exists, and as long as places like this remain unexplored, curiosity will survive. If you want to keep exploring the hidden corners of our planet, subscribe now, because the next mystery might be even deeper. And remember, the scariest places on Earth are not always above us. Sometimes they're below.